turn my volume down on my phone. All righty. Hey, everyone. It's Michelle Belisari, I can't talk today because I just had key lime pie. Real Estate Reinvention podcast that we vlog a couple times a month now on YouTube. And I have a great guest today, my friend, Justin Konikow, who I have known for quite a long time. We met on the Snapchat circuit. And then when Clubhouse circled around in 2020, we kind of reconnected. Fun fact, I am also from London, Ontario, and that is where Justin is from. So welcome to the show.
Thanks
so
for having me
here.
Yeah, I appreciate being here. We've known each other for a very, very long time. So long time coming.
Yeah, long time coming. And what I love about Justin is he is a wealth of knowledge. The way your mind works and thinks through different problems and how you break it down. I think that's the big thing I love about how your brain works. Is like the way that you break it down is really, really good, but it's also easy for some of us who don't break it down that way to understand. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, how using video and social media for your niches. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about the fact that Justin has a media company. And that's something that people kind of look at and they're like, oh, should I do that? Should I not do that? And I know agents right now are thinking about like, well, the market's a little weird. Should I be looking at adding different things? Da, 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 da. So if you would like to just introduce yourself here, my friend, we can just jump right into the interview.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'll actually answer that last question first. And if agents are thinking about adding a whole bunch of different things in a weird market, I would actually say you want to pull back and you want to be razor sharp at what you're actually good at first. Make sure you have a real good, efficient business, and then you can grow into different things. But we'll get into that in a couple of minutes. My name's Justin Konikow. I own a company called Prime Real Estate with my amazing wife, Shannon. We're located in Southwestern Ontario, Canada. And one unique thing about our brokerage is we're kind of an unbrokerage. So we don't recruit. Don't have a whole bunch of offices in different places. We're more of a company that specializes in all things real estate, and we do residential commercial investing. And essentially underneath me, I have a Navy SEAL team of experts that cover those asset classes. We use visual storytelling and digital strategies to really help our clients stand out. And the video thing actually started because I have a passion for video. So the production company, the media, all of that side of the business really came from the fact that I have a camera, I edit, I've always been somebody that is in the creative spaces. And I chose that to be the thing that really sets me apart in the industry. Now it is very, very commonplace in the industry in terms of listing videos and what video is. So we're always looking to evolve that. And yeah, we can dig into social media marketing and all that other fun stuff.
That sounds fun. Well, here's the thing. Obviously, two different countries. Our real estate businesses are as much the same as they are different. What would you say is, for our Canadian friends that will be watching this and watching the replay, what do you think is the biggest issue right now in Canada and where you live in Ontario?
I think uncertainty and affordability for sure. Like interest rates being where they're at, prices have adjusted 20 to 30%, but it's more expensive to buy a home now than ever before. I think there's an overarching problem of lack of supply. Builders took 30 to 60% of their products off market, and you can buy luxury homes and new homes now. How long will that last before we run out of supply and it takes them a while to spin up that doom wheel? I think that's a major problem. But also, aside from the States, like you guys are doing pretty decently from a GDP and a productivity perspective. Our unemployment's going up. Our GDP is flat. Like we have some major issues facing us in terms of how to become productive as a society, while at the same time bringing more homes to the market, which the government's trying to solve, but the government won't solve it. It's going to be the private sector. So we are scrapping our way through.
Got it. All right. So what's next for you and your real estate business?
So it's actually going back to the basics, right? So again, I'm a real estate agent. We cover a variety of asset classes and we sell in our territory. I had been attracted by the bright, shiny objects of going more into speaking or putting out, courses, because I can teach quite a bit. But I like keeping the main thing. So what our vision is to change the entire perception of what it means to work with a real estate agent by having consumers actually trust us and being experts at what we do and communicating exceptionally well. So we are actually shutting out a lot of the noise and the distractions And we're looking at how are we gaining our market intelligence for our clients? How are we marketing for our clients and ourselves effectively and differently than everything out there? And how are we earning their trust by being experts at negotiation? And we're really just keeping it simple to those three things. And we're looking at all of our SOPs and rebuilding them for Prime 5.0, because I think the company we were a year ago is very different from who we are today. And I think we're looking to even go deeper down that wormhole, because I don't think there's another company doing what we're doing in the space right now.
So when you say market intelligence, what does that mean?
So here's a case study. I appraised a luxury property yesterday. I'm going to do the final listing presentation on Friday. And I was pulling comps. And when you pull comps on a property, you're looking at how many houses in that price range sold, how many are actively listed. And then you're digging into the minutia of like dollar per square foot. Do they have a finished basement? Do they have acreage? You're making adjustments. We have a proprietary pricing sheet that my wife actually built out. And she is a wizard when it comes to all things data sheets and financials. She was a graduate from the Ivy Richard School of Business, so very much that type of brain. And that sheet actually prices a property about 5 different ways. So we sat down as a team yesterday and we went through how to fill out that entire form. We made some tweaks, we added some fields to it. And by the time we were done the analysis on this specific property, the adjustments we were able to make over and beyond your typical comparables gave us such a degree of confidence in our pricing model that's what excited me. Is, when I showed the pricing model to the client, they were like, I asked them, I said, have you been presented pricing strategy, anything like this before? And she said, no. Most agents show up and they just say, hey, these 3 houses sold for that. This is the range. You should list at this. And she really felt deflated by those presentations. When I presented it scientifically to her with the methodology that my wife built out, combined with our boots on the ground knowledge of those types of properties, that's what excited me, because I think that's where the value of an agent lies. Not just telling you what your neighbor's house sold for, but going layers deeper and being able to interpret the data in a very unique way. So yeah, that's I guess my view of market intelligence.
I love that, though. That's a great buzzword in the sense of it's a good one, because we need to do better when it comes to doing the comparables. And one of the strategies that I've done, it seems to happen like once a year, where I literally tell a seller, you need to have an appraiser come out and take a look at your property because it's unique, or there's something about it where I can get you this far, but I want to make sure that an appraiser, because I'm not one,
Sure.
That we're on the same page. Usually we are, which is good. But you just never know when it comes to properties. So market intelligence is so good. When you are doing some research too on market intelligence, I mean, we have RPR, we have the different comparables that we can pull from the MLS. I also look at Zillow and Redfin, because the consumer does look at that as well.
Sure.
And so does the home seller. What do you think is the best blend if you're just pulling?
Yeah, so we would look at your typical comparables on our MLS system. What was actively listed on the MLS that was bought and sold? There's a website here where you can do something similar to what you can do with Redfin, where it just puts it in an algorithm.
Yeah.
And that algorithm here is really just based on percentage over or under list price. Don't like that number because it doesn't work, but I show the consumers here that, like, if you're getting your value off this website, you're making a mistake. Here's why. Then I actually the Terranet system. The Terranet system has its own proprietary AVM model. So I'll purchase that AVM, that automated valuation model that will give me a range. And then I'm digging into actually the Terranet system and looking for off-market properties. Here's an example. That property that I told you about, there's no comps on the street, but this street of homes, there are homes in there that are going to be $3 to $5 million houses, but there's no comps. There's nothing like this house that is bought or sold on the MLS. One of the things that I do in my pricing model is I do a polygon search and I look in the last year, has anything sold privately? Sure enough, I found one that sold privately for 1.6. I drove by the house and it's a project, like it needs work. So I knew instantaneously, well, if our house is probably 700 grand of renovations over that one, then that's going to put me in the 2.25 to 2.3 range. So I was able to make an adjustment that nobody else probably did, because most people are just looking at the MLS. And again, a consumer will pay for value if you can show them that value and show them something that they couldn't have uncovered on their own, right?
Got it. So let's talk a little bit about social media. We met through Snapchat, where we have a lot of friends that we met through Snapchat. And I think the love of video has stayed with most of us throughout the years. So that's like 2016. So, we're coming up like a couple of years from now, it's gonna be 10 years that we all kind of met on this wonky little app, right? Right?
Yep.
Yeah. And so we've got a lot of noise when it comes to video, a lot of options, reels, shorts, long form, um, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Today we're streaming, onto YouTube. What is your vision right now? What are you seeing for video for real estate agents, and advice that you can give agents who are feeling a little overwhelmed and not really understanding the power of it or where they need to be?
So I would say to step back a second and not get overwhelmed at all of the things. I think one thing that people do that's a mistake is they try to do everything and they're constantly chasing other people's versions of success, where most people did one thing really, really well. They maybe did newsletters consistently for a period of time that they built a following, and that database works with them. They did YouTube really well. They did Instagram really well. It's very rare to find somebody that does it well on all platforms, right? And I challenge you to go look at the people that you admire in the industry. And they're going to be the ones that typically do it well on one platform. The other thing is they don't really think about marketing or messaging from a strategic perspective, where I think I would also challenge people to say, like, if I had to ask you, what are you an expert in? You should be able to tell me, right? Like, I have a Navy SEAL team of experts, so I can speak to all asset classes, but I'm not just going to make stuff up on commercial. I'm going to talk to my lead advisor there, and I'm going to give you advice based on that. What I can tell you, the back of the napkin very quickly, is anything in the Grand Bend area, any luxury homes within probably an hour to 2 hours drive of London. I know those like the back of my hand. I know the comps. I've been in every single one of them. I don't even need to spend any time to research it because I live and breathe it, right? Farm also tell you I know per acre what stuff's selling for. So now that I know what properties I have market intelligence on, like we were just talking about, that's what I speak about on social media. So I don't really go and try and source a whole bunch of extra info. I think about what I already know, which is real estate and media. And I talk about what I already know, which is real estate and media, consistently on my platforms for a long enough time that it would be unreasonable that people wouldn't think about me as that expert in the industry. And I think where most people fail is they don't see results right out of the gate. They kind of do one post, they feel good about it. Maybe they post consistently for 2 weeks and they give up, where most people, they're going to do it consistently for 8 months, a year, 2, 3 years. They're not going to they're not going to get likes, but over time, they are going to build a reputable brand in that space by being kind of the digital bus sign. And I think that's what we did well over the years. Was I don't have the most followers, I don't have the most subscribers, but I also wrote an op-ed piece for REM magazine recently where I talked about people that have way more followers than me don't even do a fraction of the business that we do.
Right.
And that there's a big difference between the vanity metrics that people are chasing and actual tangible results. And I think that comes down to you understanding your messaging. And then here's an example. I shared this on my stories today. Are you 4 times a day sharing with your sphere on your Instagram stories what you're doing, where you're doing it, or who you're doing it with? Probably not. But if you did that consistently 4 days a week for a month, I bet you'd get a lot more phone calls because your community would be like, oh, they're out there in the wild. Oh, I didn't know they sold those homes. And it would just lead to actual conversations, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's all about being consistent with it, and understanding where your people are and who's really loving your content. And I think that's one of the things that I took away too over the years is, Facebook, that's a good platform for me. May not be the sexiest platform, but it's my platform. Instagram is great. I like YouTube for other things, so I think that's really great sound advice. And the type of content like I'm seeing, and we talked about this morning in Ginger and Glenda's room. I don't, were you there this morning?
I was not. No, I was
Okay,
tied up.
so Glenda spent a lot of time with the TikTok people
Mhm.
in Atlanta recently. And so what she was sharing was, educational and entertainment, blending that together. And that's how, people love that. They want to kind of get to know you. They want to be entertained. And at the same time, if they like the content that you're putting out, they'll keep coming back and they'll tell their friends.
Yeah.
Right. So Is the concept any different with real estate?
Not particularly. So actually, two guys that I learned from about these concepts specifically was Ryan Serhant and Scott McGillivray, and they both said the exact same thing years ago. And when I was doing listing videos and content, typically I would want to make it educational, entertaining, and actually beyond that, I would want to tell them something they can't find out on MLS themselves. So buried into our storytelling is information that is super valuable about the property area, things that are happening that you would never know unless you worked with a pro. I also think by doing it that way, you're giving people an idea of what it's like to work with you before they work with you, which is the point of marketing, right? It's to attract the right fit clients by showing them how you operate, what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
And it'll also be a filter for the wrong fit clients that you do not want to work with.
Yeah. Do you have certain videos that you've done that you just know are the videos that get you the most return on your investment and lead sources?
Yeah, actually, there's one that nobody probably even knows about, and it's investing in London, Ontario. It's got 15, maybe 17,000 views now on YouTube from 2015. It's one of the worst produced videos I've ever done. It constantly produces leads because it top ranks for investing in London, Ontario. Right.
Okay.
The neighborhood tour videos are helpful from an SEO perspective.
Yeah.
Personally, I think my listing videos are one of the most powerful things that I do. They actually don't get the most views, although some of them are up there. The reason that I think they're powerful is sellers will call me because they feel like I want that guy selling my house. Like they see the passion that I have in the listing videos. And then when I get behind the scenes with them and I show them the science behind it, that's where I win the listings. It's not just, hey, I'm doing a video because I want to be famous, or, I'm the hero of the movie. Here's why we actually do it. And here's the consumer journey from video to a contract in your hands. Right. And I do think agents need to be able to tell that story, whether it's video, promotional materials, or anything else. Mailers, videos, they all work. But I think it depends on if you're just spending money or doing video to feel good, like you're doing something, or if you're actually thinking about it strategically.
So controversial comment here. Do you think that agents that are doing really uber creative, out of the box, that's all they're doing kind of thing, and they are selling, property, do you think that that's also a detriment sometimes?
It depends on the person, right? Because if they're attracting the clients that appreciate that, like ultra high-end videos, then it's probably working for them because that's the niche of clients that they work with. I'll even go the other way and I'll say, a controversial comment, the agents that are absolutely killing it on Reels on Instagram, there's a lot of them, there's no meat to the bone, right? Like they're putting out content that actually like goes viral because of the hook, or they say something absolutely wild in the opening, or like even the meme accounts. Like I think there's people that are doing meme accounts online trying to be like the broke agent, and I don't necessarily think that it's converting to business. If they feel great about it and they just want to go viral on Reels, go for it. But I think that a lot of people are giving up long-term growth for short-term vanity metrics because the platforms make you feel like you have to, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because there's some things that I always kind of look at, and I have a pretty good sense of humor. So I'm like, And then there's a whole other line that I've seen recently, which is doing really awful reviews. And this isn't just for realtors, but just in general, these really shitty reviews about whatever it is, because they want the views.
Yeah.
So they can build their email list, which I understand building the email list. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But I sit back and I go, oh my God, I would not want this to be my lasting legacy. Literally.
That you hit the nail on the head. And I think also from building an email list or views or followers, like what is the quality of the people that you're bringing in? And it may be okay for some people. Like there are people out there that will work and look for that. I had a client actually send me a video that an agent had done, and it was a hilarious video, property tour of the house. And it looked like they could care less and they hated the house they were selling. And that's why it made the video interesting, because they did every single room and they could care less. And I said to my client, I'm like, yeah, it's funny. It's viral. It's going to get a lot of views. But I said, I'm never going to do that, because to my core, I won't sell something I won't believe in. There's a client actually that I'm going to release them from their contract when I'm done this call, because I don't believe that I'm the right fit for that client based off the way that they're treating us. And I'm okay to do that and let somebody go and say, this client isn't for me because it's not in tune with the people that appreciate quality and the effort and trust us. And I think that's where I think people can be okay attracting that type of clientele if it's truly who they are.
Yes.
But I also think that the vanity metrics, the short-term attention span, the way that social media is gearing towards just the hooks that elicit negative emotions, couldn't be further from who I want to be. And I'm going the other way. That's basically my thought.
And I think, like, for me, I go right to the comments. I'm like, oh my God.
It's
like,
trash.
I literally picked up the phone and called people and said, oh my God, the comments are so ruthless. Like, I couldn't even imagine, but that's for someone else. It's just not my jam. Before we jump off the video piece, you know, agents are very budget conscious. They're very, very budget conscious right now. You know, I think, you know, they get into a deep hole of what they need to purchase and buy. Any thoughts on what the least amount of equipment an agent can get by with to still have a decent video with the different apps and things that are out there?
Your phone is enough. Like smartphones these days, you really don't need anything else. I wouldn't even buy a gimbal if you're not good at it yet. You can buy a selfie stick if you want or something like that, but I wouldn't even do that, because anything that creates friction to you pressing the record button, I think, is a detriment. Now, if you want to take it up a notch, I would say 100% a microphone that is like a lav mic that goes to your phone. Audio quality is the most important. Then it's actually lighting, because if you can hear it and then you can see it, that's great.
I just got that.
And then it's camera quality last. I wouldn't, again, if you're not a cinematographer, don't think that you need to get into all that stuff. So I say just your phone. That if you want to get a little bit technical, the DJI Pocket, like the little pocket camera, is absolute money. It's why I like it is because our phones are ringing all the time. It's nice to have a separate device that you can have with you that you're filming with. That is not your main device, so that you're not caught on a phone call. Meanwhile, you want to hyperlapse, whatever. I'm getting super technical. And I would say outsource it. And, you know, you don't have to start a media company. Find a good cinematographer in your area, work out a deal with them, and batch the work that you're going to do, right? So you don't have to do a lifestyle shoot. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars doing reels. Like, I genuinely think with the stuff that we have today, doing a green screen video and giving a real opinion that is valuable on rate hikes or stuff that's in the news is going to be better for you than spending $3,000 on a lifestyle batch shoot. And we have a production company that offers that. But I tell people, if you're not comfortable doing it and you're not putting out content to begin with, you're just burning your money.
So 2 things that I did is I got the 15 Pro. Finally, I had an 11, and I got the 15 Pro. It sat in my house for like weeks because I was too busy before I could get it over. And I actually, you know, I'm a pop socket kind of gal, but I also got the suction cups. So now I can stick this to the wall, and I customized it. I cut a hole in the big one and stuck it on the pop socket because it does fit on the back of the phone. But I love the cinematic on your camera.
It's amazing. Yeah, the quality is very good. Bokeh is what you're talking about. So like if it was in focus and this was blurry, that is what cinematographers use, and it's really smart. The technology they put in this camera, it's incredible.
Hold on, I'm gonna do this so that like later on, Justin's gonna be all blurry. There we go. Awesome. There we go. But I like it. And my daughter had a birthday party in Pittsburgh. I was up there like a week and a half ago. And, you know, I was taking pictures and doing all the food and I kind of like did all these shots. And I'm like, I love that.
It's cool.
That section of my camera. Also like profile photos. So, all right. So guys, you don't have to go nuts. You can always buy things, you know, secondhand, marketplace, whatever. Just be safe with that. All right. So let's talk a little bit about your media company and how you got started with that and where it's at now. And for those people who have thought about doing that, what's your advice for them?
So the media company started because I was the media company. Like I said, I shoot, I edit, I edit on Premiere. I've always been somebody that's enjoyed making videos and creatives. And initially would bring on cinema. I actually brought on interns, and then the interns turned on to employees. And then I grew the media company very quickly. And then I realized that it was a distraction from the main thing. And I scaled it down because we started getting called to do all kinds of work. And the systems weren't completely ready at Prime for that yet. Like I wanted the real estate company to be humming before we really start ripping on the production side. So we pulled back for about a year, actually just after the lockdowns. And after that, we really started shutting it off and saying, hey, by referral only. Like, we would do some work for people in legal, hospitality, fitness when they would call us, and it was usually clients. Like, they did a deal with us, and because they were close to us, we would do some work with them. And then we actually revisited the production company about 8 months ago and started building out a series of what we actually want to do and like what we're not interested in doing. And I think what we are very good at is visual storytelling and helping people skip forward the 10 years of learning that I did to know what type of videos they need to do to be effective. So the production company now, obviously on the real estate side, we do a ton of work for Prime, the agents at Prime. And on the real estate side, we're exclusive to our own agents. We get called all the time to do stuff. For the brokerages, we just don't, because it's our competitive advantage. On the consumer side, this is where it's getting really interesting is, you know, we're getting called in to help people that, you know, I had one client, he had 2 videos go viral on YouTube, and he wanted to do consistent reaction videos and podcasts and didn't want to do in-house production because you got to hire, you got to train, like it's a whole other business.
Yeah.
So we have a creative director that we partner with. We handle all the logistics, we handle the clients, the strategy, and then he executes. And we're really being selective about the clients that we work with, because I don't want 1,000 clients. I want 1,000 partners. So everybody we're working with, it's a partnership. It's not, we work for you and we're just like some kid with a camera. You're getting our network, you're getting our strategy, you're getting a lot more on the back end than simply a video. And you can get as much as you want or as little as you want.
Yeah.
But that's how we're growing it. And public facing, we're not really shouting it from the rooftops yet. We're being selective about the rollout, but probably within the next year or two, you're going to see more and more content around Prime Media out there.
Cool. So who's moving to London and who's leaving London and where are they going?
So the people that are moving to London are the people that moved to Kitchener, Toronto years ago. And those cities have gotten really big and they want to move to a small town. So they're moving, like London is basically now what Kitchener used to be. The people that are leaving London are the people that want a small town. So they're going to a smaller town, and the people leaving the smaller towns are going to a smaller town. And you're just seeing this migration of people that their lives change. I also think you're seeing a lot of sales happening of people that bought recreational properties, second properties. They moved to the, you know, out to the rural areas during the pandemic, and now they're going back to the cities. So we're seeing a migration that way, but definitely a big, large amount of people coming from the GTA, selling their house for $2 million and buying something much more affordable and putting up roots in our area for the next.
That's pretty cool. London's, you know, got University of Western Ontario. I mean, it's a vibrant community. It was when we were there in the 70s. We were there for 4 years. And my grandfather was from St. Thomas, and I have family in Toronto. So, you know, just a really cool little town. I went to A.B. Lucas High School. Good. So there you go.
St. Thomas exploded too. Like we
got
the largest.
That.
Yeah. So like they lost the Ford plant and they were a struggle city for a long time because they're a heavy manufacturing town, but the city did a great job in rolling out the Economic Development Corporation, rolling out the red carpet for business. Even before they got the announcement for Amazon and the Volkswagen plant, it was starting to turn around and we were doing a lot of investment in that area. Yeah. And then they got an Amazon, which my best friend growing up built.
That's awesome.
Random association. And then Volkswagen announced the largest EV plant in North America in St. Thomas. So they bought thousands of hectares and they're basically, it's going to be a hub for manufacturing.
That's fantastic. That's good to know. You know, obviously I'm down in Boca Raton, Florida, servicing the Palm Beach and Broward County areas from Fort Lauderdale to Boca to West Palm Beach. We noticed like people will move down here from different parts of the world. Usually we pull from the Northeast, but for Toronto, for London and the areas that you service, where do you find that they tend to vacation and travel to in Florida?
So in Florida, they'll be East Coast or West Coast. They're all over the place, right? Yeah. So, you know, we spend a lot of time. You'll see people going down to Sarasota. You'll see Fort Myers. You'll see Naples. But we know people that go down to West Palm and they go down to that section. I know St. Petersburg was seeing a lot of migration as well, probably down in your area. Canadians are funny because they'll go there for the winter and they'll go to the Muskokas in the summer. So I always say Muskokas for the sunbirds, the people from Florida where it's too hot, you may as well come see us. And then you guys are for the snowbirds. When it's snowy, everybody goes to Florida, right?
Yeah. And what's the exchange rate right now?
Not great. Yeah, I think it's like 60 cents on the dollar. Yeah, it's
Oh,
bad.
ouch.
Yeah, 34, I think was the last number
Yeah.
that I saw, but
Yeah. So, one of the things I have to ask you is being an old London person, do you have a favorite old school restaurant that's still there that was there in the 70s?
I mean, Joe Cool's is the staple that I mean, my blood is yours there, literally. I worked for Mike Smith for over a decade, and that place is just near and dear to my heart. Spaghetti Eddie's is still there.
Oh,
Like
wow.
London's interesting because it was a really big small town. Everybody knows everybody twice
Yeah.
removed. It's a city now, but at its heart, like it is still London, right? And
Yeah.
the downtown, they're really pushing to revitalize it from the same struggles that every other city
Yeah.
saw through the last 5 years, and it'll get there. But yeah, it's
That's
London is the black hole, and you wherever you travel in the world, you'll find somebody that has a connection to London.
I know it's kind of interesting because I do. One other question for you, conferences. Do you
Yeah.
have any specific conferences that you just absolutely don't want to miss coming up?
No, actually, so I actively say no to a lot of networking and conferences, even speaking engagements. I know Sell It like Serhant or Sell It Now has a huge one coming in September. I may be
Mhm.
there for that one. But it's a Buzz conference is great in Canada. Virginia's a
Yeah.
really good friend. I've spoken there a bunch of times, but honestly, I'm not that much of a conference junkie. So I'd say those ones for now. I do have a bucket list of conferences that I want to go to. I think Neil Dinga does some great work as well. And, Daryl Eves, his big mastermind that he does for YouTube. Like I have
Yeah.
some YouTube conferences I want to go to, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I did a few this year because I really didn't do a ton last year with my daughter getting married. But I do find that conferences can be very beneficial, especially like living where I live for networking purposes, agent to agent referrals, and some good takeaways when I do go. I'm not doing anything over the summer. The
Yeah.
last thing I'm going to is Inman, Miami, because I'm
Nice.
less than an hour from Miami.
Sure.
So it makes sense. And people are, why are you going to that? And I'm like, well, it's in my backyard. Why wouldn't I go?
For
You
sure.
know?
Actually, CREI, there's a commercial real estate conference in Florida that's on our docket to review. So
Ooh,
yeah,
there you
apparently that
go.
one too. Cool. There's
All
some
right.
cool people doing stuff
Any,
in
uh,
commercial.
any last words for my audience today? I really appreciate you jumping on.
Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, rather in humility, value others above yourself. I think, a community of people that helps each other instead of themselves tends to make a much better garden and community. So I'll leave him with that.
And where can everybody find you?
Justin Konikow everywhere. YouTube, Instagram, probably those are the two best places, and justinkonikow.com.
That's awesome. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us today for the Real Estate Reinvention podcast. Please make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I will see you on the next interview. Ciao.